Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Wilderness Lakes in Menifee, California. Great to see you all back again. If you were on earlier today, we got to do some exciting unveiling out of a tube. It was awesome. So I have had, tonight's one is a combination of 3 questions I got from different people. So I'm putting it under the category of how do I keep myself in the know? People want to know, how do I keep up with all the travel news? How do I keep up with all the new tours, all the new ships that are coming out? Because there's just so much out there. I mean, you go looking online, you go, I want to take a cruise, and you go and you Google cruises, and there's over, 70 million hits or whatever it is. How do you know the difference between the different cruise ships? And another one is sort of like, just how are you continually training? So Bethany, Sue, and Kathy, this question is for you. How do I keep myself in the know? It is a challenge. There is a lot of information out there. Anybody who has been out there Googling travel, cruises, land tours, combinations of land and cruise knows that there is a lot of information out there. So how do we keep it in the know? How do we keep it things? So what I do, this is myself. I am continually training. I try to do at least an hour a day of in the know, whether it's training, whether it's reading a trade magazine, whether it's reading information on a trade site, whether it's going through the travel news, because we do get trade publications that come through in our email constantly with different news flashes and stuff coming up, and then it's filtering it and saying, what do we need to know just for our information, and what should we tell our clients about? So I'm going to go through some of the magazines, because you might be surprised at some of the magazines that we actually look at. And I actually happen to have a couple here, only because they arrived in the mail. So I got the latest. Travel and Leisure is one of my favorite ones. This is their adventure issue. I just got it in the mail today, so I haven't even cracked it open. I don't even know what's in there. I was too interested into what came in my tube today to worry about what was in the magazine. But this is one of the ones that I will have a browse through. If there's any articles in here that I like, now that I don't have the space, I'm in the RV. Normally what I do when I go through these magazines is if I see an article on a destination or something that I think would interest a client, I'll actually take the article out, pop it in an envelope, and send it to the client. So I will do that. Then there's other articles that may just like spark an idea in my head. So what I will do is cut that article out and put it in what I call my swipe file and go back to it later on. It could be that I want to write a blog about it, I want to talk about it on a Facebook Live, whatever. Or it could just be for general information. Now that I'm in the RV, I don't have a lot of space to store stuff. So now I'm trying to figure out ways to scan it, because I don't think my printer scans. Just little portable inkjets. I don't think it scans. I haven't had a look at that. I'm going to look at that, because if it scans, then it's okay. I can just rip the articles out, scan them through, and save them, and we're good. If it doesn't scan, I might have to take pictures with my phone, and yeah, that could be getting messy. So Travel and Leisure is one of my favorite general magazines that I love to have a look at. Other ones that I like is the Condé Nast Traveler, because the thing I like about Condé Nast is that all of their writers pay their own way when they're writing reviews on hotels, tours, cruises, that sort of stuff. They pay their own way, write about it, and they're kind of like secret shoppers in a way. So the cruise lines that don't know that they're coming, they're anonymous. They go on there, they enjoy their cruise, they enjoy the hotel, they enjoy the restaurants, the tours, all of that sort of stuff. They pay their own way. So it's kind of cool that they do that. So that's a really cool magazine for that. So you're getting more of an unbiased opinion. It's not that the hotel or somebody slipped them some money on the side to say, hey, can you write us a good review? They don't get to do that. National Geographic is one of my absolutely favorite. National Geographic Traveler. You got to get the Traveler one, because the National Geographic is the National Geographic, but the Traveler is specifically for trips, and they take you in-depth into the culture, in-depth in the travel for traveling in that area, in that particular culture. They take you off the beaten path, and of course they've got those phenomenal photographs that they have in there. And the cool thing I like about photographs is they are great to look at, to dream, to think, yes, I want to go there. I love that photograph. I am going to go there. Because yes, the photograph may be gorgeous, it may be beautiful, but it's the experience that is going to make you appreciate the true beauty. So that's why I like the National Geographic Traveler, because it is a great magazine for dream building, and putting stuff on your travel bucket list. Cruise Travel is another really good magazine that's out there. Another one of my favorites, because it actually gives you profiles on some ships. So if there is a cruise line that is bringing out a new ship, they will actually write a review on the ship and do photographs on the ship. They give you all the stats about the ship, about how long it is, how many rooms it's got, how many passengers it takes, the number of crew, the weight, and all of that for those that like the technical stuff. I really don't care about the technical stuff. I want to know how many passengers go on the ship and how many crew there are, because I like to know the crew passenger ratio, because it's always good to know that. But apart from that, just tell me about the ship. How many restaurants has it got on there? What are their specialty restaurants? What's new and unique that's on the ship that's not on another ship? Like, for example, the Holland America, Koningsdam, and New Amsterdam both have blends. And blends is where they use they've teamed up with San Michel Winery from up in Washington State there, and they have the San Michel wines on there, and you learn about the wines in there, but then you get to blend their different wines to make your own bottle of wine, which I thought is a really cool and unique idea, and it's not on any other ship. Afar is another one. It's a newish type of magazine that's come out, and when it first came out, I thought, what's this all about? And I kind of hemmed and hawed about it, but then I started like picking up the odd copy here and there. And the thing I like about it is that they take you off the beaten path. So they're not just your regular, when you go to Italy, you need to go here so you can experience this type of pizza, or over here to experience this type of pasta, or go here. No, they take you off the beaten path. They take you to those little mom and pop places that are not on the regular tourist paths. So that's one thing I like about that magazine. It's called Afar. Then when it comes to, so that's just a general world travel magazine. So we keep up to date with those. I know there's a lot of stuff in here, and you're going, oh my gosh, how do you keep this? An hour a day. And then one of my favorite ones is that when you're looking at doing staycations around your area, and you want to know more about what's going on in your area, what is available in your area, or what is available in an area you want to visit, especially here in the States. Now, I picked this one up, and the only reason I still have it, it's March of this year, is because it's road trips. And it's got 21 ultimate adventures up the coast, across deserts, around wineries, and into the national parks. And that's the San Diego magazine. So San Diego has its own magazine, and it's specific for people who live in San Diego or who are visiting San Diego. They've got an events calendar in there. One time they did it, and Brad and I actually started but didn't get very far, only because of his health issues. We didn't get very far with that, but they had 52 places to experience brunch in San Diego, and we figured we're going to go try them all. I think we got to 4 or 5. So every week we were going and trying a different place for brunch that was mentioned in the San Diego magazine. I know Los Angeles has one. I think most of the major cities have a magazine like this about what's on in your local area. So it's great if you're planning a staycation, great if you're planning a trip to that area. Because like I said, it's all the local stuff. So you find out what's happening in the area, what's specific there, what events do they have coming up. They'll write articles on different restaurants, on new bars that are opening, new attractions that are coming in. You know, the San Diego Zoo course is here, and last year they were celebrating. Was it last year? No, when did they celebrate it? 2016, they were celebrating their 100th anniversary. So they had a spread in one of the magazines about one of the San Diego issues. They had a spread in there about the zoo celebrating 100 years. So they take the local stuff as well that's already there and that sort of thing too. So those are great magazines for staycations, or if you're going to an area and want to know what's on. Still going on the magazines. Then this is one of my favorite. This is my new favorite because it's Family RVing. This is put out by the Family Motor Coach Association, and this is their monthly magazine that comes out. It's got great articles in there on road trips, different camping grounds, places to go and relax, places you can go boondocking. For those of you who don't know what boondocking is, it's being off the grid in your RV with no power hookup, no water hookup, no sewer hookup. It's just you and your RV and your generator, and that's it. This one here is about getting off the beaten path and relaxing riverside. So I'm looking forward to reading that. It's actually the May version, the May issue. But it's really cool. I mean, it's even got their RV fire safety. So they have a whole bunch of really good maintenance tips are in here as well. So for somebody like me who's new to the RV life, this is an awesome magazine. And there's lots of different other RV magazines out there, but this one gets sent to me because I signed up as a member, and so I really like this one. And it also previews new RVs that are coming out as well. Still going. Then we have the trade magazines. So we have Agent at Home, and this is put out by, who puts this one out? I don't remember. Oops. It's put out by one of our associations. Travel Alliance Media. But this is a trade magazine that's put out there for us. It lets us know about new hotels that are opening, new ships that are coming out, that sort of stuff. Does behind the scenes information on different cruise lines, tour companies, that sort of stuff. Then we have the Luxury Travel Advisor for us, for those of us that deal with luxury clients. It gives us, again, new stuff that's coming out and new experience and things, like the fact that on this one here, that Cunard is going back to Alaska for the first time in several years. So, hey, Bob, kia ora, Bob. I missed the snorkel as well. Oh, good to see you, Bob. Another magazine that I really, really enjoy, and this kind of has something to do with travel based on how you look at it. But this is the National Genealogy Society magazine for the US. And you're probably going, why does she do that? It's because genealogy is one of my hobbies. It is also one of my businesses as well, where I actually help people start their family tree research and that sort of stuff. And we're expanding it to be actually being able to do research for up to 5 generations for some families as well. So, so for me, this is a little bit of a gold mine. The problem with this magazine is that it has really good information that never goes out of date, or very rarely does go out of date, but it has really good search ideas and stuff in there. And this one is talking about the Missouri region. I don't have any relatives from Missouri, but the only reason I signed up with the US one is because I help a lot of people in the US with their helping them start with their ancestry research and that sort of stuff as well. So that's the magazine side. So I hope that answers the question on how I keep up to date with the magazines. Then we also have all the newsletters that come in on a daily basis. And sometimes some of them will send you like 3 or 4 emails a day, and they're all newsletter format. We get inundated with them, and it's all the latest news, what's coming hot off the press that's just related to the travel industry. Like, for example, when the whole thing with Cuba happened at the beginning of the month, whenever that happened, when the government suddenly turned around and says, oh, you guys can't sail to Cuba, and told the cruise lines they couldn't sail to Cuba anymore. And that was one day, and the next day all the cruise lines had to suddenly change all of their itineraries and everything, and some of their ships were on their way to Cuba and all that. So we were finding out what was happening with that. And the cool part about the trade stuff is we don't get all the fluff that's in the general news stuff. We just get the facts, which is what I want. Here's the facts. This is what's happened, blah, 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 blah. And you don't get all the fanfare that you get in the general media. So that's what I like about the trade news stuff. So we get that coming through constantly. How else do we keep up to date in training and everything else? Oh, my goodness. A lot of destinations like the tourism boards and stuff have online training. And I did a Facebook Live, several ago, where I had recertified as a 100% pure New Zealand gold specialist. So I'm always on especially for New Zealand, Australia, and the South Pacific, that's where I'm concentrating on because that's my specialty area. So I'm making sure I'm keeping up to date with them. And again, signed up with all of their newsletters and stuff. So if they have any news things to pass on to the travel community, we get it directly from the tourism board as to what's happening on different things. Like when they had the earthquake in Christchurch, we were getting news feeds through from New Zealand Tourism letting us know what's happening, what's open, what's not open. When Kaikoura had their earthquake and it shut off the State Highway 1 and cars were being routed around a different path, and of course the train couldn't get through from Christchurch to Picton, they were keeping us up to date with what was happening with that as well. So the tourism boards are great information. They also have really good training as well. Then all the cruise line, each tour company has their own online training. Then we have an organization that's called CLIA, which is Cruise Lines International Association. And then there is the certified, what is it, CTC? Can't remember what it stands for. There's another organization, and I haven't started their training yet. But the Cruise Lines International Association, I have been through their training. It was not easy. So if you come across somebody who has done the CLIA training, they have the letters after their name, know that they know their stuff, because the training is, when I did it, there was 3 levels. There's now 4 levels. They've got certified cruise certification, accredited cruise counselor, master cruise counselor, and elite cruise counselor. I have the elite cruise counselor, and at each level we have X number of courses we have to do online or live. We have maybe conferences that we have to attend, because they have a yearly conference. So part of it is that you have to attend their yearly conference. There's certain number of ship inspections that you have to do, and it cannot be the same brand. So you're having to go onto different cruise lines to do ship inspections. And doing a ship inspection is, a lot of times they will allow some of the areas where the ships come in and do the changeover. So you got everybody disembarks, everybody embarks. So in between that time, they may allow a group of travel agents to go on board to tour the ship. And that's a great time to get in there, because you can get in there, you get to see the suites, which you don't normally get to see. You get to see all the different categories. So you can get to see how big are their inside cabins, how big are their ocean views, what do their balconies look like, what do their suites look like. So you're getting that view and that feel for the space. And then you get to see all their public spaces, their conference room space, if they have that as well, which when you do groups like I do, that's big, that's huge for me, knowing what meeting room space do we have available on board the ship. So you're having to do ship inspections. You have to do a certain number of cruises as well. So you're getting that personal experience. And the ship inspections and the cruise inspections cannot be the same ship. And remember, there's 4 levels to go through. So think about how many, and each one has different number of ships that you have to inspect, or different number of cruises you have to do. Then at each level, you also have to do X number of cabin sales. So for elite cruise counselor, I had to sell 50 staterooms, and none of the ones I'd done for my previous certifications counted. It was 50 cabins within that year, which was pretty, well, for me, it was really easy to do because I had a group that was 60 cabins. So knocked that one out real quick, which made it nice and easy. But so that's when you're getting into the groups and stuff. I've also done their luxury cruise specialist training as well, which again, lots of stuff having to go through that. So you've got the personal experience, you've got the online training, you've got the in-person training, you've got the sales going with it, you've got the ship inspections, all for the Cruise Line International Association certification levels. So if you see somebody who is a certified cruise counselor, accredited master or elite cruise counselors, know that they have put the work in to get those certifications, because it is it's tough. There is another level of certification, which is not run by CLIA, but it's run by another organization. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm going to start going through their training as well. And again, that's not an easy training to go through either. So Bethany, Sue, and Kathy, I hope that answers your question tonight on how do we keep up to date with our information? How do we keep in the know? How do we keep up with the training and everything else? Yes, there is a ton of information out there, which is why I specialize like I do. I've done a lot of different cruise line trainings, because when I first started this business, I knew nothing about cruise ships, nothing. I hadn't even, well, correction, I had stepped foot on 2 cruise ships that were not cruise ships at the time. Years ago, my dad had a very good friend of his. They met when they were in the fire brigade together, and my dad's friend was the safety officer on a mission ship that used to be a cruise ship. So I got to experience it from that perspective, from how it had been a cruise ship and had been converted into a mission ship. Then the next time I was on a cruise ship was on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, and she wasn't going anywhere. So until we got into this cruise business, we had not taken a cruise. We hadn't really stepped foot on a cruise ship. And we were selling cruises 13 months before we actually took our first cruise. So we signed up with Cruise Planners in August of 2008. And we took our very first cruise in September of 2009. So, it's been a long time coming, but during that time I was selling cruises. I was online. As soon as I got all my online access and everything else, I was in there and I was just learning. And of course, during that time, we're going through Brad, through the early stages of Brad's cancer journey. And so times when he's in hospital, I was sitting there, and while he was sleeping, I'm sitting there on my computer and online, and I'm learning stuff. And suddenly it clicked with me, because I was working in the hotel industry at the time, that these ships are just floating resorts. And so all of a sudden, when I made that connection, it made it a lot easier to learn stuff. But again, there's a lot of information out there where cruise ships are very different to resorts, and yet at the same time, they have a lot that's in common. So it has been a very steep learning curve for me, and I am constantly learning. Because if I don't learn, I get behind, and then I got to play catch up. So I concentrate on my groups, my group training. I concentrate on my area of expertise, which is Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific, and I concentrate on the resorts that are in the South Pacific as well, because I have groups that go down there to do retreats. So cruise groups and land groups for that. If somebody wants to go to Europe and that sort of stuff, and it's something that I can very easily, quickly do, I will do that for them. Otherwise, I may send them off to another cruise planner who is a European specialist. So it's all about networking. It's all about knowing what you know, and knowing when you don't know enough to say to that person, hey, this is not my area of expertise, but I have somebody who is in that area of expertise. May I pass them over to you? So that's how I keep up. And I try to do at least an hour a day, 5 days a week. So I'm doing 5 hours of training a week. And that's catching up with the news, catching up on the magazines, and catching up on training. So that's how I do it. So I hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling evening. And Bethany, Sue, and Kathy, thank you very much for your questions. If you have any travel questions that you would like us to answer, please private message me your questions. They're coming in like, oh, you guys are going to keep me in questions for months. I love it. And some of them I'm going, I have no clue, which means I got to learn. And I love learning. So yay, thank you. Thank you all for tuning in and watching tonight. And Bob, I totally missed the snorkel as well. Somebody's asked me where I am. I'm actually in my RV. I am sitting here in my RV. So, and we're at a campground. So this is my home. My home is movable and on wheels. Wherever I am is my home, literally. Hey, Miss Kathy, good to see you. So I hope that answers your questions. Gone on a little longer than I normally do tonight, but I figured I'll just do 3 questions at once, since they're all related around the same topic. So I hope you all have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. Remember, if you have any questions that are travel related or anything else, just shoot me. You want to know more about the genealogy stuff I do, or the or any other questions about travel, shoot me a private message and I'll be happy to answer the questions for you. Have a super fantastic, sparkling evening.